The most perplexing phenomenon in the human world is the entanglement of love and hatred among family members. Those who share our bloodline sometimes become the most distant strangers to our hearts. Could it be that behind this lies the indescribable karmic code of samsara? The Buddhist said, "If you wish to know the causes of past lives, observe what you suffer in this life. If you wish to know the results of future lives, examine what you are creating in this life." This seemingly simple principle reveals the profound mysteries of the cycle of life and rebirth. Every relationship in this life may be the result of a single thought drawn from a past life, and every choice made today will influence the circumstances of future lives. What is even more thought-provoking is that those who provoke the most hatred in our current life may, in the next life, become our closest relatives by karmic connection. This seemingly paradoxical law of samsara, as articulated in the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva's original Vows Sutra and the Buddha's discourse on the repercussions of merit and demerit through the 5 paths of cyclic existence, embodies the profound principles governing cosmic operations. It explains why resentment can serve as a bond connecting 2 lifetimes and reveals the liberating wisdom concealed behind this cycle of cause and effect. Outside the flourishing city of Luoyang during the Tang Dynasty, there stood an ancient temple named Jingling Temple, secluded from the world, yet sheltering all sentient beings. Surrounded by verdant mountains and towering ancient pines, the temple resounded with the distant ringing of bells and the continuous chanting of the Buddha's name. Here resides a venerable Chan master named Kongming, esteemed for his virtue and wisdom. He discerns the law of cause and effect and understands worldly affairs clearly. Devotees from all directions often come to seek Dharma teachings and inquire about the way. On a spring afternoon, the temple welcomed a visitor with a worn and weary face. This man, named Wang De, is a well-respected Buddhist lay practitioner in the city of Luoyang. He habitually practices charity, performs generous acts, and cultivates virtuous connections, yet he's been growing increasingly emaciated due to a certain inner concern. Wanda walked along the mountain path shaded by emerald bamboo and arrived at the gate of the meditation hall. He saw Master Kongming seated upright on a meditation cushion, deeply absorbed in samadhi, his face serene and his breath steady and prolonged. Wanda dared not disturb and stood quietly aside. After a brief moment, the Zen master slowly opened his eyes, his gaze clear and serene like autumn waters. "Amitabha, benefactor, you have traveled a long way. Surely, there must be matters weighing on your mind." Master Kongming's voice was calm, yet carried a penetrating power that saw into the heart of man. Wangda immediately stepped forward and kowtowed. The disciple Wangda respectfully requested an audience with the Zen master, hoping to resolve the doubts in his heart. "Please speak," Wangda sighed. "It is acceptable that the disciple has arrived, but there is one matter that troubles me day and night. I have only one son, Wang Lin, who has been exceptionally intelligent since childhood. However, he is strong-willed and has never been in harmony with me. Recently, our relationship has reached an irreconcilable point." At this point, a flicker of pain crossed Wangda's eyes. Whenever I taught him the way of conduct and behavior, he would speak back defiantly. I disciplined him strictly, yet he became even more rebellious. I have tried various methods to improve the relationship, but all have been in vain. In the stillness of the deep night, I often toss and turn, unable to sleep, pondering why the karmic connection between father and son is so fraught with obstacles. Zen Master Kongming closed his eyes in contemplation for a moment, then slowly spoke. "The familial affection rooted in sincerity is all determined by karmic connections from past lives. The Kitagarbha Sutra states, 'It is difficult to speak of the sentient beings who are subdued in body. Every action, every thought is karma, and all are offenses.' The discord between the benefactor and his son is no exception. It is likely due to unresolved karmic connections from past lives." Wangda frowned deeply, feeling the dullness of his discipleship, Unable to understand how past life karmic connections influence the father-son relationship in this life, Master Kongming rose and walked to the courtyard. Pointing to a blooming lotus nearby, he said, "Venerable, do you see this lotus?" Wangda nodded, naturally seeing the flowers blooming very beautifully. To see the beauty of a lotus flower, yet not know that its roots are embedded in the muddy mire. Ordinary people only see the events of this life, but do not perceive the causes from past lives. Master Kongming gently plucked a lotus flower and, pointing to its petals, continued. In the Sutra on the Repercussions of Sinful Retributions in the 5 Destinations of Rebirth, the Buddha said that those who harbored mutual hatred in past lives may be reborn as close relatives in the present life. The Wangdawinian Sutra, why is it so? Those who harbor hatred becoming relatives. Does this not perpetuate enmity into future lives? Master Kongming shook his head and said, "Benefactor, you have misunderstood. The cycle of birth and death is all governed by the power of karma. Hatred is one of the most intense emotions. In the cycle of the 6 realms of rebirth, intense emotions create powerful karmic bonds that lead to reunions in future lives. This is not a punishment, but an opportunity for both parties to resolve their past karmic connections." The Zen master placed the lotus flower back into the water, and ripples spread outward. The ancient masters said, "Enemies are better resolved than created. Each should turn the light inward and reflect upon oneself. If the hatred in this life is not resolved, it may transform into more complex conditions in the next life." Zen Master Kongming further recounted a story from the time of the Buddha. During the Buddha's time, there was a lay follower named Siddhartha, who was extremely wealthy but narrow-minded. He and the neighboring merchant often quarreled over their affairs, harboring deep resentment toward each other, eager to the point of wishing death to settle their scores. One day, Siddhartha spoke to the Buddha about this matter, hoping that the Buddha could uphold justice for him. The Buddha compassionately looked at Siddhartha and told him that this merchant had also harbored a deep enmity with him in a past life, and due to karmic causes, they had met again in this lifetime. If this matter cannot be resolved, in the next life the karmic connection will inevitably continue, potentially taking the form of an even closer relationship, such as that between father and son or brothers, to repay the karmic debt. Siddhartha did not understand why he should become a relative. Doesn't this perpetuate resentment? The Buddha explained that in the interconnectedness of minds, where beings live closely together day and night, there are more opportunities to confront and dissolve resentments carried over from past lives. This is the great compassion of the universe, offering all sentient beings the opportunity for liberation. After listening, Wangda was contemplative. According to Master Zhao's words, the discord between my son and me may originate from resentment carried over from past lives. Is there a way to resolve this? Master Kongming said, "The mind of resentment is difficult to resolve unilaterally. It requires mutual harmony and wholeheartedness." The Dhammapada states, "Wisdom does not cease with wisdom. For beings, wisdom alone is important." The sacred dharma of compassion, with unceasing vows, requires first relinquishing a stern demeanor and approaching others with a compassionate heart. Only then can the direction of karmic forces be transformed. The Zen master further added, "Daily practice calm repentance. Reflect on the moments of conflict with your son and consider whether you had any faults. At the same time, try to understand his thoughts and appreciate his strengths, rather than focusing solely on his shortcomings." Gradually, the entanglements of the night begin to loosen. Wangda respectfully recorded the teachings of the Zen master, and after bidding farewell, set off on his journey home, his heart already resolute. He will change his attitude toward his son, no longer harshly reproaching him, but instead attempting to treat him with understanding and compassion. Initially, Wang Ling felt puzzled by his father's transformation and maintained a distance. However, as his father's attitude continued to change, his heart gradually began to soften. 3 months later, he began to initiate conversations with his father. In half a year, we will be able to sit down and share dinner together. 1 year later, the father and son were able to freely discuss their life ideals and aspirations. After 3 years had passed, Wang De, nearing the end of his life during a visit, reported to Master Kong laying the significant improvement in the relationship between father and son. This time, Wang De's face was radiant and his demeanor relaxed. Beside him was a handsome and upright young man, his son Wang Lin. Master Kong Ming nodded robustly and with satisfaction, saying, "Well done, well done." To be able to dispel hatred in this lifetime, not only does it improve present-world relationships, but it also severes the karmic entanglements of future lives. After paying respects to the Chan master and taking the lead down the mountain, Wang Min went first, but Wang De stayed behind to consult Master Kong Ming about more profound doubts. "Master, although the disciple's relationship with his son has improved, there remains doubt in the heart. Why does the anger from past lives affect the father-son relationship in this life? This seems like a form of punishment, but why does it appear in the form of familial affection?" Master Kong Ming invited Wang to sit down, took a sip of clear tea, and spoke slowly. The causality in the universe is not punishment, but education. In the Buddha's Zong Sutra, karma does not vanish, it only transforms. If the mind of hatred is not transformed, it will create karmic entanglements in the cycle of birth and death. The Zen master took a sutra from the bookshelf, pointed to a passage, and said, "The Mahaprajaparamitassa ultimately addresses affliction. The wish for association with suffering is one of the 8 sufferings of human life. Sentient beings, due to ignorance of cause and effect, cling to worldly desires, thus giving rise to suffering. The hatred from past lives, transforming into deep affection in this life, is, in essence, giving each other an opportunity for resolution." Zen Master Kong Ming gently caressed the sutra and continued to explain that the mind is the most profound human relationship and also the circumstance that best cultivates and refines one's character. If a conflict arises with a stranger, we can turn away and never meet again. But when it comes to family, especially close relatives such as parents and children, it is not so easy to escape. In this inescapable relationship, we are compelled to confront our own emotions and attachments, providing an opportunity to deeply understand one another and gradually dissolve the hatred carried over from past lives. The Dharma emphasizes transmigration into wisdom, which means transforming negative emotions into wisdom and compassion. Familial relationships are precisely the best temples for such transformation. Wang De seemed to have an insight and asked again, "I have often pondered recently, if those we resent in this life become our relatives in the next, then do all the various relationships in the world have their antecedents? Are husband and wife, siblings, and friends all determined by karma from past lives?" Master Kong Ming smiled gently and answered, "For those who wish to understand, all Buddhas of the 3 times observe the nature of the Dharma realm and see that all arise from the mind. All phenomena in the world are created by the mind. Everything in the world arises from the mind. The continuity of cause and effect is unceasing, arising and manifesting without end. Behind the clear sky, there is a deep force of karmic influence guiding it." The Zen master took an ancient wooden bowl from the trunk, half filled with clear water. He gently shook the bowl, causing ripples to spread across the surface. The human mind is like water. A single thought arises, and it ripples outward endlessly, influencing everything. A single thought of hatred can trigger karmic entanglements lasting hundreds of kalpas, while a single thought of compassion can dispel enmity accumulated over countless kalpas. The Zen master paused his actions, gazing at the gradually calming surface of the water. The bond between husband and wife may stem from love in a past life or arise from deep-seated hatred. The strife between brothers might be the reunion of former rivals, while profound affection could be the continuation of karmic ties from countless lifetimes. However, the purpose of understanding these causal connections is not to dwell on the past, but to remind us to cherish every relationship in this life, approach them with the right attitude, and avoid creating new karmic entanglements. Master Kongming looked up at Wangde, his gaze profound. Venerable Wang, what you may wish to understand most now is not merely the law of cause and effect, but how to transcend this cycle of karmic formations, isn't it? Behind the concept of rebirth, as one's kin, lies a greater mystery. How sentient beings can find the path to liberation within this seemingly endless cycle of karmic existence. Wangde respectfully nodded, and the Zen master's insightful eyes shone like a blazing torch. The disciple sincerely wishes to understand what important practice insights are ultimately concealed within this cycle. If one understands the path to ultimate liberation, how then should one regard the bonds of kinship in this life? Master Kongming looked into the eyes of Wang Deki, generation after generation, and slowly said that the essence of the Dharma is not in understanding the law of cause and effect, but in transcending the bonds of causality. The Diamond Sutra states, "Thus have I heard, all dharmas are ultimately non-dharmas. All dharmas are named but not truly existent. The worldly cycle of karmic retribution appears endless, yet it truly has an end." The Zen master picked up a mala and showed it to Wangde. This mala consists of 108 beads, connected end to end, appearing without beginning or end, symbolizing sentient beings' samsara within the 6 realms. However, in reality, each bead has its fixed position. Similarly, although the cycle of karma appears endless, it has its inherent patterns. If a practitioner attains enlightenment, they can transcend the cycle of karma and are no longer entangled by cause and effect. Wangde joined his palms together and asked, "What is enlightenment? How can one transcend causality?" Zen Master Kongming explained that the first step of enlightenment is to clearly understand the principle of dependent origination of all dharmas and the cessation of all dharmas based on their conditions. The mind of hatred inherently lacks self-nature. It arises due to causes and conditions and ceases likewise due to causes and conditions. When we deeply understand this, we can grasp the profound meaning behind hatred reincarnating as kin. A Zen master is simultaneously not a Zen master. This cycle of karmic arrangements is, in reality, the great compassion of the universe. Through familial relationships, it provides opportunities for individuals to confront and resolve resentments from past lives. As stated in the Vimalakirti Sutra, when the mind is calm, the land becomes calm. When the inner hatred is purified, the external karmic entanglements naturally dissolve. Zen Master Kongming also said that the Buddha stated in the Nirvana Sutra that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature, and regardless of the circumstances encountered in this life, they are all opportunities for cultivation. The conflicts and reconciliations within familial love are, in essence, the manifestation of the Buddha nature. By transforming hatred, we not only improve our relationships in this lifetime, but also purify our own minds and draw closer to the Buddha nature that is inherently complete within us. Wangde Ruo was thoughtful, acknowledging that the Zen master's words were indeed profound. After improving my relationship with my whole self, my inner being has indeed become more peaceful, with significantly fewer troubles. A peaceful night's sleep brings a brighter sunshine to the day. Is this transformation what the Zen master refers to as the purification of the mind? The eaves pierce the startled clouds. All the ocean of karmic obstacles arises from deluded thoughts. One should let go of hatred, attachment, and lustful desires. The mind will naturally become pure, and karmic obstacles will naturally be eliminated. This is the state of cultivation. By observing these changes, we can understand the truth of impermanence of all conditioned phenomena and the non-self nature of all dharmas. The highest level of practice is to attain the state of limitless great compassion and universal great mercy. In this realm, there is no distinction between self and others, nor any differentiation between hatred and love or attachment and aversion. The Avatamsaka Sutra states, "The mind is like a bowyer who crafts various musical notes. Within all worlds, there is no dharma that it does not create." When we truly understand that all relationships are manifestations of the mind, we can transcend the bonds of karma. Wangda respectfully asked, "How should a disciple practice in order to attain this state?" Master Kongming smiled and said, "Begin first by dissolving hatred." The Lotus Sutra states that all dharmas are without self-characteristics. The most profound truth cannot be conveyed through words, but lies in practice rather than speech. In daily life, when encountering conflicts and disagreements, refrain from harboring anger or hatred. Instead, respond with compassion and tolerance. This is the best practice of cultivation. The Chan Master provided guidance in 3 aspects of practice. First, observe the mind, constantly being aware of one's thoughts without being disturbed by feelings of anger or resentment. Secondly, cultivate loving kindness by generating a compassionate heart toward all sentient beings, including those who have once provoked anger within you. Thirdly, understanding the principle involves deeply comprehending the law of cause and effect, recognizing that all experiences in this life arise from specific conditions, and refraining from unjustly blaming oneself or others. Wanda also asked, if one encounters deep-seated resentment and aversion in this lifetime that is difficult to resolve, how should it be addressed? Some hatred may not be resolved by my efforts alone. Master Kongming explained that in the Agamas, the Blessed One taught that if the other party cannot accept reconciliation, one should still let go of one's own hatred and face the situation with a pure mind. Even unilaterally letting go can change the course of karma and alleviate entanglements in future lives. What is important is confident practice, not external outcomes. Just as the sun does not cease to shine because of clouds obscuring it, our compassion should not waver due to rejection by others. Persistent practice, maintaining inner tranquility and peace, will ultimately transform karma over time. Zen Master Kongming ultimately concluded that the mystery of cause and effect and reincarnation, at its core, is a practice. Through understanding and practicing the Dharma, we can transcend the bonds of karma and attain true liberation. As stated in the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Perceiving that the 5 aggregates are all empty leads to the liberation from all suffering and distress. When we truly understand the emptiness of all phenomena, we can freely abide within cause and effect without being bound by karmic forces. As the setting sun sinks in the west, the light inside the meditation hall softens. Wangda bows deeply, beginning with gratitude to the Zen master. On this journey, he not only dispelled the doubts in his heart, but also attained a deeper understanding of the essence of life. From then on, Kingdom not only lived harmoniously with his son, but also began to diligently cultivate his practice and engage extensively in virtuous deeds. He established a school in the city to provide relief for the poor. When encountering conflict, always first reflect upon oneself and treat others with a heart of compassion. He often told his family and friends that the hatred from past lives transforms into affection in this life, offering us an opportunity to resolve our karmic debts. If one can treat everyone with compassion, life will attain true freedom. 10 years have flowed away like water, and Wangda is now advanced in age. At the moment of his passing, he calmly told the family gathered around his bedside, "I have come to understand the profound law of cause and effect, and have let go of all attachments in my heart. May in the future lives I form good affinities with all sentient beings, free from resentment and hatred, and together realize enlightenment." The story of Wangda spread widely, becoming a celebrated tale throughout the city of Luoyang. People realized that the contradictions and conflicts in life may well be the unresolved karmic connections from past lives. The key to resolving these conflicts lies not in blaming others, but in purifying one's own mind and treating others with compassion. When we face resentment and suffering in life, We might consider that the person who arouses anger in our heart today may well be a blood relative connected to us in the next life. If one can view all worldly relationships with such a perspective, the hatred in the heart will naturally diminish, and the seeds of compassion will take root and sprout in the field of the mind. Only in this way can we break the cycle of karma, attain true freedom and liberation, and ultimately realize the deepest truth of samsara. All hatred can be resolved, all grievances will eventually dissolve, and the original nature of all sentient beings is fundamentally one and the same. The significance of the two aggregates lies in helping us recognize the true nature of all dualities, which have never actually existed. Good and bad, life and death, even samsara and nirvana are phenomena that manifest dependent on our cognition and attachments. Once you transcend attachment to these opposites, you're able to see that their essence is unified. The dual aggregates of samsara and nirvana are the best example of this transcendence. When you truly understand the nature of samsara, it no longer becomes the source of suffering. When you truly understand the true nature of nirvana, it ceases to be an external goal. Samsara and nirvana are two sides of the same coin. Their essence is emptiness. However, the two aggregates are not merely philosophical concepts. They also impose rigorous demands on practice. In order to truly cultivate the two aggregates, practitioners must completely break through their habitual cognitive patterns. Most of us are deeply bound by dualistic notions, such as believing that men and women are entirely different beings, that suffering must be overcome, that happiness should be pursued, and that life and death are irreconcilable opposites. Practicing the dual aggregates requires us to see the same underlying essence behind these opposites when experiencing them. This transformation is not easy. It requires practitioners to possess profound wisdom and heightened awareness. Precisely for this reason, the practice of the two aggregates is considered one of the most profound and perilous practices in Vajrayana. It is like a thin thread suspended in midair. If one missteps, they will fall into the abyss. In the Tantric scriptures, the practice of the two aggregates is often described using the metaphor of bamboo segments bending upward. The bamboo is very smooth. Once bent, there's no room for flexibility. It can only go up or down. The risk of practicing the two aggregates lies in the possibility that without sufficient wisdom, practitioners may become lost due to attachment to the superficial aspects of phenomena, ultimately becoming ensnared by greed and clinging, thereby deviating from the path of liberation. This is also why the true practice of the dual aggregates is only suitable for practitioners with extremely high spiritual capacities. It requires practitioners not only to have a profound understanding of emptiness, but also to possess strong intrinsic awareness and concentration, enabling them to remain unconfused and unattached when confronted with all phenomena. Especially when practice involves intense emotions such as craving, a slight carelessness can easily lead to extremes of indulgence or repression. The essence of the two aggregates lies in transcendence. Not suppression nor acquiescence, but through wisdom transcending the superficial and oppositional nature of all phenomena. An important symbol of the practice of the two aggregates is the union of the male and female deities. In Vajrayana Thankas, symbols of wisdom and skillful means are often depicted, with male and female deities shown in union posture. This is not an endorsement of union in the secular sense, but rather an exposition of a profound Buddhist teaching, the unity of wisdom and skillful means. Wisdom refers to the profound realization of emptiness, while skillful means are the compassionate and altruistic actions. If there is only wisdom without skillful means, practice may fall into indifferent empty talk. If there is only expedience without wisdom, actions may become blind goodwill. Therefore, wisdom and skillful means must be combined to achieve complete enlightenment. However, This does not imply that practitioners should accomplish their cultivation through external combinations. On the contrary, Vajrayana emphasizes inner awakening, accomplished through visualization, meditation, and profound exploration of one's own emotions and cognition. In practice, the union of male and female deities is not an external ritual, but an internal symbol representing the unity of the dualities within our own mind. This unity is not limited to wisdom and skillful means, but also includes our transcendence of all dualistic phenomena, good and evil, suffering and pleasure, birth and death, samsara and nirvana. Ultimately, the practice of the union of both paths is not aimed at attaining some special state, but rather to help us realize that the essence of all phenomena is unified and that all opposing natures are empty. Through the practice of a simultaneous cultivation of the two truths, the practitioner can fundamentally break the attachment to opposites and completely transcend the bondage of duality. This state is the experience of great bliss, a profound joy that goes beyond the dual separation of pleasure and pain. However, this path is fraught with challenges. Practitioners must not only overcome external misunderstandings and prejudices, but also continually confront their own inner selves, unraveling the shackles of attachment layer by layer. The difficulty of this practice lies not in simply giving up something, but in requiring you to clearly see everything through profound observation, thereby letting go of misunderstandings and attachments to things. Therefore, the cultivation of the two aggregates is a test of both wisdom and courage. It reminds us that liberation is never simply about escape or suppression, but about deep understanding and transcendence. The significance of the five aggregates lies not only in revealing the unity of all phenomena, but also in providing practitioners with a path to transcend suffering and duality. This path is not easy, but the awakening it brings is ultimate and complete freedom. We gather here to explore the profound meaning of the two aggregates in the Diamond Sutra, to analyze misunderstandings and truths, and to sense the vast and profound significance behind it. From the initial misunderstanding, through the analysis of the philosophical core, to the challenges of actual practice, we can see that the meaning of the two aggregates far surpasses worldly associations. It is not merely a practice method, but a gateway to wisdom and liberation. Therefore, whether you're a practitioner or not, regardless of how much you understand the teachings of Vajrayana, the wisdom of the 12 Nidanas can inspire you. It reminds us that transcending duality does not require complex rituals, nor does it necessitate withdrawing from the worldly life. It only requires us to bravely confront the attachments within our own hearts and wholeheartedly observe the true nature of phenomena. When we are able to repeatedly practice such wisdom in our daily lives, the light of awakening will ignite within our hearts. Perhaps this is precisely the profound meaning of the Vajra accomplishment practice. Liberation is not in some distant beyond. It is present in every moment of our lives. It is not beyond the sufferings we try to escape, but can only manifest when we confront these sufferings directly. The wisdom of the five aggregates is not only the pinnacle of philosophy, but also a guiding light in each of our lives. It is not a simple path, yet it leads to boundless freedom.